Hi, everyone. Welcome to Food Talk Live. I'm your host, Dani Nierenberg. Every Monday, we're interviewing food and agriculture business leaders to hear their thoughts about how businesses are changing, hopefully for the better. Today, I get to chat with Melanie Hall, the Director of Brand Marketing at Kashi and a registered dietitian. Prior to this current role, she spent more than a decade developing health and wellness initiatives at the Kellogg Company. As Kellogg's Retail Wellbeing and WIC Initiatives Manager, that's Women, Infants, and Children program, Melanie helped improve Kellogg's relationship with WIC staff, supported new WIC foods, and provided retailers with innovative ways to meet WIC shoppers' needs. She's also worked alongside Kellogg's corporate social responsibility teams to find ways to expand the company's health and wellness missions. Thanks so much for being here, Melanie. It's really nice to see you.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this.
So I'm kind of really interested in your origin story. Why did you decide to become a dietitian? And then how did that path to Kellogg come about?
Oh, why just be a dietitian? We're going way back. That was really going into college. I didn't know what I wanted to be, but my family was very stern that we needed to pick a degree in the sciences, and so I literally looked through the college manual at every single major, and nutrition looked good. So that is literally how I came into it. But at the same time, if you remember in the 80s, nutrition and wellness was this very elusive thing. And, you had the 3-day diet and the cabbage and all these weird things. And so I was fascinated with that and thought it would be really good to learn the behind the scenes behind all that. So that's how I ended up in nutrition specifically. And then in undergrad, I really got into really being curious about how to just make things easy for people. My motto is it's not as hard as it's made out to be. There are easy ways to make better choices. It doesn't seem that way, but they are there. And so I kind of made it my mission to be the person who helps reveal that to people.
Why doesn't it seem that way for folks? I mean, healthy eating should be intuitive, it should be normalized, but it's certainly not.
Yeah, a lot of it is there's noise. There's so much noise out there. So I understand why it doesn't seem easy. It didn't seem easy before I spent time in the field and learning about it. But once I kind of got to see the behind the scenes between different fad diets and really learning how the body operates, what does and doesn't work, things that seem intuitive, but really when you understand how the body works, actually it doesn't work that way. So once I saw that, then I started to think, okay, how do I digest this? How do I help other people understand? But really, at the end of the day, it's the noise. It is the lack of understanding a lot of people have that science is evolutionary, not revolutionary. So someone has a study, it's in a magazine or it's on a TV show, and they say, that's just what it is, right? But rarely works that way, right? There needs to be a body of knowledge. There needs to be time. Oftentimes when I speak with consumers, I'll ask them, well, how often does dietary advice for Americans, how often does that change? And they'll say, well, daily. And I'll say, actually, every 5 years. Right. So number one, but it feels like it's daily, right? And again, for a variety of reasons, a lot of voices out there, a lot of passions. And that really makes it hard for people to make a decision. So yes, as I observed that during my studies, I really became passionate about how can I be the person to help people relax a little bit and find easy ways to make choices, and really at the end of the day, habits that are going to lead to a healthier life.
Right. Those fad diets, as we know, don't work. We had Michael Moss from the food writer talking about his book Hooked, I guess last week. And just, our bodies are not made to keep switching from fad diet to fad diet. And we get hooked or we get addicted to food in different ways because of our metabolism, our metabolic structures. And it's just very interesting, when you talk to someone like you who's been studying this her whole career, that, healthy eating doesn't have to be something that you think a lot about. It can just be intuitive. It can be habit forming. And the choices you make can be really important, as we've seen during COVID. Folks who didn't have, great diets for various reasons, because they lived in underserved communities or were marginalized in different ways, have suffered more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, with that, part of what I understood as well and what I've observed. So back when I was still becoming a dietitian, so most dietitians, it wasn't required back then, it is now, but many of us, we'd get a master's degree as well. And I went to UC Berkeley undergrad, and our class was kind of split between, is it MBA or Master in Public Health. And I stumbled upon this degree at Tufts. It was a master's in nutrition communication. So, there you go. I want to be that person that helps people make it easy, right? So a light went off. And I love the program because it had the best of what I like from both of those degrees. The fun part about MBA, all the marketing bits, all of the, and the best part of an MPH as far as behavior change and all that. So it was all rolled into one. And I was very excited about that opportunity. It's still the only nutrition communications degree in the United States, which I think is a shame. But it was a really great experience. And at the same time, I saw in the field of public health that there was a shift. There was the classical model of, well, educate, give people knowledge, and then help them build their skills. So think about all those smoothie food demos in a grocery store, and then their attitudes will change. And what was really interesting, Tufts, one of the things we really focused on was flipping that model and focusing on attitudes first, which creates a desire for skills. They'll come asking for skills once you've changed attitudes, and then knowledge gets in there somewhere. But at the end of the day, the behaviors change.
Right.
And, in short, food marketing. And so I was very passionate about that. I had a real blast really understanding that and unpacking that. And was very excited to get into that after I graduated, which I did right out of grad school. But that was another thing I think is really at the core of how I operate. So number one, it doesn't have to be that easy. And you know what? I'm going to help you change your attitude so you understand that there are some ways to make it easier to make healthy choices, going to get you excited about it, and help you make those permanent changes.
That's great. I love that remark about attitudes. It's about changing how you think about these things, for sure. I'm wondering, turning to your work at Kashi now, how do you define eating well, and making it easy?
For me, eating well, I always come back to the habits. Those are the things that you do every single day. And as you know, those are the reasons why sometimes making drastic changes to what you're eating don't work, because it's not a habit. And once you stop, whatever result you saw stops, right? And so when we talk about making it easier to make better choices to eat well, we think of a variety of aspects. So for example, with Kashi, first of all of our foods, all of our foods have a good source of fiber, right? We use whole grains in all of our grain-based foods. So we make it easy as far as we have some inherent nutrition across our portfolio. We make it easy because it tastes good. If it's the hardest part. And I think the biggest attitude change when it comes to making good changes, healthy changes, people believing it won't taste good. So having that inherent nutrition, making it taste good, making it accessible. Again, back when I first got into nutrition, you had to go to a wellness store or nutrition store. And that was when I first got out and started working at Network for Healthy California. I was working on their 5-day campaign. I was a marketing manager. And first thing I told people was, a grocery store is a health food store. It's in there. You don't have to go anywhere special. You don't have to drive anywhere further. So with Kashi, same thing. When we first started out and we were a smaller brand, we were in fewer places, but now you can find our foods at a Walmart. As a matter of fact, this year,
you're everywhere.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, and then this year we launched a value size, right? So now let's think about cost. So Does it taste good? Can you find it? When you find it, can you afford it? We're really happy to announce that starting in October, two of our cereals, two of our organic oat cereals are going to be available in Texas and Vermont WIC. So now for low-income families who want healthy options, who are interested in organic, they now have that opportunity, if they participate in the Women, Infants, and Children program, to get those cereals. Easy. We think about, just the 360 of what are all those barriers standing in people's way, and how can Kashi be very purposeful in finding ways to help people overcome them. And I would say the second part to that is, we're about food for people and planet. So everything we just talked about is, why it's good for someone to eat it, for them physically. But the founders of Kashi believe very strongly that food should do more, not only for the people who are eating it, but for the planet that it came from. And so Kashi is very purposeful in finding ways to make sure that our existence, our impact in making these foods available is as little as possible on the planet, and making sure that we have systems that help people feel good, that when they choose us, we made eating well for the planet easier for them as well.
And is this what you mean by sort of democratizing healthy eating?
Yes, yes. Oftentimes, and again, dating me, but back when I got into nutrition, it was it could be, I should say, it could be very elitist.
Sure.
It could feel very far off. I can't, but as a matter of fact, we used to call it the health butts. I want to be healthy, but takes too much time, costs too much money, whatever your butt is, right? And so when we think about democratizing healthy eating, how do we remove all of those barriers? And again, make sure that in addition to the person, in order for us to be sustainable as a company, we need to make sure that we're making sustainable food and looking for all of the opportunities to continue to improve that.
Sure.
As we continue on our journey.
Well, and you talked about the founders of Kashi, that food should do more, but then Kashi was acquired by Kellogg's, and that can, for a lot of smaller companies, mean that their sort of their mission orientedness or whatever goes away, and it sounds like from what you're saying that has not been the case. And I'm wondering if you can talk about some of the organic programs. You talked about the organic cereal now available under WIC. Can you talk about some of the organic projects that are in place?
Yeah, and actually to that, let me speak a little bit broader as well, right? Yes, Kashi was acquired by Kellogg's in 2000, and we love, number one, the company was very clear that we needed to hold on to our values as a company. I say our, like I was there in 2000, but you know what I mean. And that, we continued on with trying to make sure that we made food that is good for people and planet. There are benefits, though, of being part of their larger company. For example, by the end of I believe it's by the end of next year, Kellogg will achieve over 50% renewable energy to address the electricity needs of all of its own manufacturing, and Kashi gets to be a part of that. And that is happening in part because the company is breaking ground on a new wind farm. Kashi by itself as a company could not have done that. And so that is an example of a benefit that we have that's going to help us continue to make food that is good for planet and have less of an impact through our existence, because we have access to that renewable energy. Other programs that we've done, I'd say the one that we're most excited about, because we do have a new announcement on this one, our certified transitional program.
Right.
This started in 2015. We're really pioneers in this space. We saw that there was a desire for organic, but thinking again on those barriers, right? Organic was expensive. Well, why? It's not a lot of organic land in the United States. So that by itself, when you think about the supply chain, is going to make it harder for people to have access. And that adage of, buy land, that's the only thing they're not making anymore. Well, back in 2015, the team at Kashi decided they were going to make some more land. And so the certified transitional program is one where Kashi helps support farmers as they transition from conventional to organic land. And we're very happy to announce that since 2015, we've helped over 20 farmers. And thanks to Kashi, 10,000 acres
Wow,
of land has been transitioned from conventional to organic.
that's great.
So when you think big picture, right, there's more land and more access, more opportunity for organic foods to be grown.
And
Part of the issue
farmers
there,
and farmers
go
are
ahead.
making more money, right? Those,
Yes, and that was part of the issue, though. Yes, you can, when you switch to transition, there is more demand for that. And, people think, oh, wow, they can charge more. But there's a 3-year period where that's that transition we talk about in the program. There's a 3-year period where they cannot sell their food as organic. They have to stop the conventional growing methods and start the organic methods. So there's changes in their yields and how much food is being made and all sorts of hardships that can make it hard for a farmer to make the transition. So
right.
that is the type of support that we were giving them. We took all of that. In our case, we were supporting wheat farmers and some corn. We took that transitional grain and we put it into a food. So it's our dark cocoa karma and a new line that we'll have coming out in a few months. When you buy those foods, every time you buy them, we're helping that farmer that is creating that food to get to organic in the future within 3 years. So that's a really exciting program, and we're really proud of that and to be one of the first in that space.
Absolutely. It's not just exciting, it's revolutionary that a company thought to do this in so many ways. And, everyone knows I'm not the biggest fan of big food, right? But this is something that, has a tremendous impact all along the food supply chain.
Absolutely. And, you're seeing people speak about it and do it more and more nowadays.
Right.
And so it's really great to see it slowly catching on because the more people and the more companies that do this, of course, the more acres that can be transitioned. And again, big picture, we are now taking down some barriers when it comes to access.
Absolutely, absolutely. And really, to the point about farmers again, really understanding what they go through, that it's not just that easy to go from conventional to organic, that there is that time period, there is a lag, and farmers, need that sort of comfort that they will get, there will be a market for what they're growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, really believe it's important to really support farmers. And again, that goes back to the food doing more. So for the land, for the people who grow it, for the people who eat it, the communities that use it. So these are those core values that, of course, unchanged when the company was acquired by Kellogg's.
Well, and you mentioned food doing more, and there was a comment by Victoria Warren about packaging. So
Mhm.
has Kashi thought about ways to reduce packaging, selling in bulk bins, for example?
Oh, we talk about that often. So yes, there are a lot of ideas that are floating around. We have a couple of more announcements coming out this year that I can't get into, but we are really looking at the entire supply chain from seed to table and asking ourselves, how do we minimize our impact while still making great tasting food
Hmm.
that people can feel good about enjoying? So at the end of the day, though, that's the question we're always asking. We're asking that with our farmers. We're asking that with our team that's developing the new food. We're asking that when we're looking at packaging. And so, again, we'll have some more announcements as the year goes out, but we are definitely keeping an eye on what are our opportunities with packaging.
That's great. That's great. I'm wondering if we can switch gears and talk a little bit about your work with young people. I know Gen Z is an important sort of market for what you're trying to do, and your Super Loop cereal came about sort of in a creative way, right?
Yes, it did. So we had a group. We called it the Kashi Kids Group, Kids Crew, and it was an opportunity to really spend some time with younger people. We saw a gap in the natural and organic space when it comes to cereal. There just aren't that many, and as people start to dabble in natural and organic, start to go in that different aisle, they're looking for things that they're used to, that they're that are familiar to them. And quote unquote kids cereal is one of those things. And you don't always see that in the natural and organic aisle.
Right.
And so with Super Loops, that's what we really wanted to get after and accomplish. So we worked with this group of kids to really get their thoughts on what it was that was exciting about food, what it was they liked, flavors, the entire experience. They worked very closely with our team. And something else that we really wanted to get after, back to thinking about how to make eating well easy. with those Superloop cereals, we focused on having a variety of foods, I should say ingredients inside. So a lot of people, there is this big drive to shorter ingredient list. But we found a situation where we actually want a little bit of a longer ingredient list. And we wanted to put lentils in there as well as whole wheat, as well as chickpeas, and have a variety of wholesome ingredients that gave you a nutrition profile
Sure.
of inherent nutrition. And so that's what we did with the kids crew. We had a cinnamon chocolate and a strawberry flavor. And it was just a really great partnership. It was a fun time with the staff. It was before I came on board, but the staff does speak fondly about their time with the kids.
Sure. That's great. No, and I see more and more companies sort of reaching out to focus groups of young people, getting their thoughts on sustainability and flavor and, fair trade and a lot of other things. So I think that's really important. You've also, Kashi has just launched, I think in January, a line of keto friendly products. And I'm wondering, the keto is such a big thing right now and controversial for so many reasons. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about why you decided to do that.
Yes. And you know what? That's really interesting too. So with the keto cereal, a couple of things. It is grain free. It's 1 gram of added sugar, 12 grams of protein. And you'll notice when you see the boxes, it says keto friendly. And so what we're trying to do is understand what people were really looking for. And there are a lot of people who were just simply looking for lower carbs, lower sugar. So it wasn't so much that they wanted the keto diet specifically. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people who do. But there were other benefits people were seeing to that fad. And we tried to listen and say, okay, so how can we meet the needs of these consumers that, for whatever reason, are looking to decrease, again, things like sugar or carbs or grains, and find a better way for them to try this. And so that's what we launched with the keto cereal. And a couple of things you'll notice. One, it is definitely a price difference between some of the things that you see out there. So going back to making it easy, making it more accessible, making it affordable, and again, really focusing on what are those things people are looking for outside of the fad of keto. What are they actually asking for? And so that's what I've seen. I have actually, interestingly, just through LinkedIn, had several people reach out to me looking for a variety of things that cereal happened to give them. And they weren't on keto. They were just looking for, I'd like something with a little bit more protein. I'd like something with, a little bit fewer carbs, again, for a variety of reasons. And I said, oh, well, we happen to have this cereal coming out. I think it'll definitely meet your needs. So it's been a very exciting launch. And, again, trying to listen to what people are looking for, while at the same time, we had our discussion about fad diets before. And again, that's why we really focused on, hey, it's keto friendly. And we know there are a lot of aspects of this trend that people are excited about. So we wanted to offer it in an easy way.
Yeah, I mean, it's about meeting consumers where they're at. We say eaters, meeting eaters where they're at and trying to figure out ways to make, not just more healthy or healthful, I'm not sure what the word is, but more accessible and affordable. And that affordable angle is something I'm hoping you can dig into before we get to another viewer's question. A lot of companies talk about accessibility. They want their product very accessible to folks, but they talk less about affordability. And I'm wondering if you can touch on that a little bit.
Yes, variety of ways to get there. As I mentioned before, one way we very recently launched was having all of our cereals in Walmart go into a larger value size, right? That by itself, as a matter of fact, I think, yes, I have. So this is my snacking corner back here. So,
we all have one.
Yes, I'll have one. And so these, I have one myself of, our peanut butter Go Crunch, where, just by having it at that better value, we're making it more affordable and accessible. Again, us diving into the WIC program, that's a very overt way for us to make sure that we're affordable to the households that need it the most. When you think of how vulnerable women, infants, and children in low-income families can be, and they want health, they want nutrition. plenty of data that shows income is not a determinant for how much and how engaged someone is in wellness or the natural and organic space. They still want it. And so we found making our foods available through that program is yet another way where we can address affordability for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I imagine, build a lifelong consumer because they grew up with that product and, loved it and it kept them healthy and they'll want to, keep eating it. So Maria has a question about some of the trends that you're seeing in the in nutrition and dietary preferences. Are there any trends that you're sort of excited about or worried about over the next few years?
So what we're seeing a lot of right now is people being, I think if you sum it up, focused on their resilience, right? And I wonder why. People really, I think now paying attention to their baseline health, now because of COVID, people seeing that, wow, if I have any underlying conditions or anything, I'm more at risk. And so now you have people really looking at food, food as medicine or food as a way to manage and achieve better health. So that is going to be, that's existed before, but it's definitely peaked in the last year. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. So people looking for solutions through food there. I would say as well, we still see a lot of interest in gut health and how that impacts overall wellness and how gut health really ties into a variety of things. The body of knowledge, again, science evolutionary, not revolutionary. So they're still pulling together the body of knowledge, but you're seeing so many connections. And that's one of the things I'm excited about when it comes to gut health, because as a dietitian and as the person who's, been to anatomy and physiology, and I understand how everything in the body is connected, gut health is one of the first trends I've ever seen in my career that really introduced people to how everything is connected. You're seeing people talk about gut health related to, and again, the evidence is still coming in, but you're at least seeing the conversations of, gut health and what does it have to do with immunity? What does it have to do with sleep? What does it have to do with my mood? All of these things. And for me, the big takeaway, and again, what I'm excited about is just people just seeing, wow, it's connected. Now we still have to nail down what those connections are, exactly how to get the benefits of them in food. But people just recognizing that, I think, is awesome. And again, that's continuing on.
Well, and I think consumers intuitively understand gut health. That means something to them. They know when they don't feel good, right? And they know it makes them feel better. And so I think there's something that really resonates with eaters around that. Of course, this affects my mood or anxiety or whatever. And it's very, very interesting. And I'm always waiting for those studies to come out because they are so fascinating. I was really pleased to hear from you and your colleagues earlier this year that you launched not just a Black History Month campaign like so many companies do, but what you call Black History Every Month campaign. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so this is a campaign that we're supporting in partnership with some other Kellogg brands. And it is funny, we ended up launching it officially, I think, the last day of February. And but we were excited about that because it made the point, Black History Every Month. So it is a great campaign where we are focusing on food justice. And when the team started putting it together, I saw the immediate link for Kashi, because this is literally making eating well easier for communities that have some big barriers. And so there are a couple of core tenets of this program. Number one, again, because it launched in Black History Month, they wanted to show a link between food and some Black heroes of our past. And so they chose 6 Black food heroes and people who had a significant impact on the food system we enjoy today. So for example, the inventor of the refrigerated food truck, Kashi waffles, Morningstar Farms would not be anywhere without refrigerated and freezer trucks. The chemist who saw how you could naturally preserve foods with antioxidants. And nowadays you'll see in natural and organic space, rosemary extract. That is a natural antioxidant that is keeping our natural and organic foods fresher longer. this category, this space that we operate in, wouldn't be much if all the food rotted in a month. So, those types of heroes from the past, Black heroes we have to thank for the food system that we enjoy. So that's one aspect of it. It was giving credit where credit is due. And so there are a series of videos honoring these people and thanking them, and them being introduced by Kellogg staff from all over the company. The second aspect of it was, okay, while this is great, while we do have a great food system, people are still hungry. There are still gaps. And so the team partnered with the United Nations in order to bring their Zero Hunger mural series to 6 different cities across the United States. They just finished the New Orleans mural and the Houston one. I believe they finished over the weekend. And more cities are coming, including Battle Creek. And so we're really excited about that. And these are murals that are in different ways through different artists, showing different aspects of food justice. And actually, to take a step back, food justice is the right to grow, sell, and enjoy healthy food with dignity. And and I say I was part of the planning team. We picked that because we wanted to make sure we had approached the topic from an asset mentality. So this is, yes, there are a variety of communities that don't have proper access to healthy foods, but there are things they do have. They do have heroes that are there, working to overcome those problems. And, they do have other assets and resources that they pull upon in order to come together as a community and overcome. And so that's the third aspect of this. In each of the 6 cities that were selected where a mural is coming up, the team found a food justice organization. That organization is getting $10,000. Where Kashi is actually supporting smaller murals going on the grounds of these nonprofit organizations. So there'll be a large 15, 20 story mural for the city, and then a smaller mural for the nonprofit. And we're just really excited about it because, again, we're hoping that we're approaching this topic in a different way. Again, that asset mentality, giving credit where credit is due. And also in food justice, it requires an acknowledgement of how these communities got to where they are. Food deserts don't just happen. It's often related to systemic racism. There are a lot of studies that are showing connections and associations between, redlining of the past and present, and how that can create a chain of events that leads to a food desert. And, that's important because food justice focuses on long-term sustainable solutions. So that only happens if you ask, how did we get here in the first place, right?
Absolutely.
So really excited about that program. And again, it's a variety of Kellogg brands coming together to really help support this. Is run by the Kellogg African American Resource Group. And the Kashi team was really excited about participating as well, because it falls right in line with our desire to make eating well easy.
Yeah, no, and I love that, giving credit where credit is due, recognizing the how these communities are already doing amazing things, that they don't need anyone to come in there and tell them what to do. They already know what to do and how to do it. They need the resources and the capital and the investment.
Absolutely. And so that's what we're definitely hoping, the larger murals that we are putting out there in partnership with the United Nations, drawing a lot of attention. They are very eye-catching. Again, the one that will be going up in Oakland next month, it's on the downtown Oakland Marriott. It's about 22 stories tall. You will not miss it. But the whole point is drawing people's attention to, hey, this is what's going on in communities. How can you, as a consumer, learn more about the need for food justice, yourself find a food justice organization and get connected, volunteer time, talents, funds, whatever it is. And it's really through that you find those long-term sustainable solutions that can, big picture, eradicate hunger globally, frankly, but let's start locally. Absolutely. So exciting program.
It is exciting, and congratulations on getting it started. Where can people find more information about Black History period every month period?
That you can go to kellogg.com/BHEM or kellogg.com Black History every month. /Black History every month. And there you can see all the content is going to be there. So again, content will go out every single month. So month by month, You'll see the new Black Food Hero. You'll see the new mural. You will see the new food justice organization. And I cannot wait until about June, July, where we'll have this beautiful mosaic of all of this artwork and all of these stories. And we have more content that's being developed for the back half of the year as well.
Very cool. Thank you so much. So I've been ending every podcast with my guests, asking them sort of, if it's a person or a book or a podcast or a movie that's sort of kept them going over the last year when we've all been going through this, these crazy times.
Ooh, that's a very good question. Person, book, podcast, movie. I'm gonna say my boys. I have two boys. I have a 9-year-old and a 12. Well, no, 8-year-old, and 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. Soon he'll be 9, and it has obviously been a very hard year. But I think what most of us are doing are trying to find those silver linings, and being home while I have the occasional, child running in the background when I'm, doing a conference. They've been very nice to me today. But being home to be near them more often, but even on top of that, for them to see what I do,
Sure.
It has been eye-opening for them to see what I do and for us to talk about that and start having conversations about what they're interested in and what they would like to do. Because, before COVID, mommy would just disappear. They didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
And so having that new dynamic in my household, with my children and my husband, and just us really making the most out of that in spite of everything that's going on, I think has really helped us just keep going and knowing there's going to be an end to this, but in the meantime, this is what we are doing as a family.
Absolutely. There is an end in sight. Everyone, please still wear your mask. Melanie, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for sharing all of this with us. A reminder that this will also be on our podcast, Food Talk with Dani Nierenberg. And I hope folks will join me on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time when I'll be talking to Elizabeth Mapufu of La Via Campesina. Thank you, Melanie. Please stay safe.
Thank you. You too.